Hi, S1. This is your geography work for the week beginning the 20th of April. The due date for this work is not till a week on Friday, which is the 30th of April, and therefore you've got more time to work on this. And there's quite a few tasks. You'll need to pause this video at various points to complete these tasks, because some of the things that I'm going to say will be required for you to answer the questions. Okay. Now, today we're going to be looking at population geography and using graphs to answer questions and find things out about populations. So you've got to read this little paragraph first of all, and then copy and paste it into your virtual jotter. And then you will be no doubt watching the video, or you will just put the video on after the next instruction. And then I'd like you to copy and paste this graph into your jotter and then work on this first question, which is how to describe the population pyramid of the United Kingdom. And at this point, listen to how I would do that and then pause it and then answer the question. So when describing a population pyramid, we need to, first of all, let me just bring up in this UK population pyramid. We need to think about what is a population pyramid. Well, it's a special graph that shows you the number of people, in this case, the percentage of people in each of the age groups for a country. So in this case, we're in the United Kingdom, and it's the year 2020. And we can see that there are 67,886,004 people as of the last population count. That's the total number. Here, we can see how many are in each of the age groups. And the pyramid's got a left and the right side. And it's another name for these population graphs are called population pyramids or age-sex structure graphs. It's got a male side, which is in blue, and a female side, which is in pink. So to show you how to read this, if we're interested in how many babies between the ages of 0 to 4, so we can see down here, there are in the United Kingdom, I can see that there are 3% boys and 2.8% girls, giving me a grand total of 5.8% of the population of the United Kingdom is aged between 0 and 4. If I then wanted to maybe compare that to the 15 to 19-year-olds, I would see that there is 2.8% and males and 2.7% females, giving me a grand total, if you add them together, of 5.5%. So slightly fewer in that age group. In contrast, if I go to maybe the 50 to 54s, I can see that there's 3.4% and 3.5% in the females, giving me a grand total of 6.9%, which means there's more than 1% more people in the 50 to 54 age group than there is in the 0 to 4 age group. We notice a big drop off at the top, which is what we would expect because as people get older, they're far more likely to die of a variety of illnesses or just of old age. So, for example, we can see in the 75 to 79 age group, we've got 1.7% male, 1.9% female, giving us a grand total of 3.6%, which is a lot less. And then it steadily gets even smaller and smaller. So what I've been doing there is I've been showing you that it's possible using these graphs to compare the amount of people in the different age groups. Because this is an animation, I can actually see the total number in each age group. So you guys in this lesson are all in the 10 to 14 age group, and you can see that there are just over 2 million boys and just under 2 million girls in the United Kingdom. Another thing you can do is you can actually compare whether there's more boys than girls. So, for example, up here we can see that there are more girls than boys in the older age groups, and that's generally because girls live longer than boys for a variety of reasons. And actually that becomes more obvious the further up we go. So we've got even far more females in the 80 to 84 than males. But down here at the bottom end of the pyramid, we've actually got slightly more boys in the 0 to 4 age group than the females. So your first task in this week's assignment is for you to describe this graph using data in just the same way that I have done for you. Once you've done that, you're then going to want to compare the 2020 with the future and answer these two questions. So let's have a little look at that. How do we do that? Well, if we bring up these pyramids again, all I need to do is go to the year 2100, click up here, and click. And I can see, first of all, that the total population has changed. and is much higher than it was in the year 2020. And this line actually shows us that change over time. Other thing I can then do is I can jump between those 2 years to see the differences. So I can see that there are 2.5 and 2.3%. So in total, 4.8% of people in Britain will be aged between 0 and 4. So that's 4.8. And if I go back to 2020, I can click and I can see that 5.8% were in those age groups. So that age group, the 0 to 4s, will shrink by 1% by the end of the century. And I could do the same for any other age group. I could go to the future and I could look in this 80 to 85 and I could see that we're going to have 4.6% in this 85 to 89 age group. So that's 4.6. So how many do we currently have in that age group? Well, we've got 1.5. So actually a huge difference in the number of people 85 to 89, basically meaning that in the future, far more of us are going to be living to the very old ages. So with that in mind, you can complete the next task on the homework, which is where you compare the population of 2020 with the future. If you're interested, by the way, you can find any country in the world, not just the ones with the U, but you could go and look at country with Z and have a look at Zimbabwe and find out its population pyramid and compare that with other countries, which is actually the next task. So the final task in today's homework, in today's assignment, this week's assignment, is this graph, which you need to copy into your virtual jotter, and then you need to answer these questions. And these questions are about both describing the difference between the Democratic Republic of Congo and the United States, and then explaining the reasons for those differences. So let's have a quick little look at that. What you're going to be asked to do is think about the pyramid or the graph for the Congo and the United States, and you'll see they've got very different shape. So if I was describing the difference, for example, I can see that in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which is a country in Africa, we have 9% females and 9% males in this youngest age group of 0 to 4. So that's 18% of people in the Congo are in this age group. If we compare that with the United States, we've got roughly 3% boys and 3% girls. I just read it off the graph down here, which is 6%. So 18% in the Congo, 6% in the United States. So 12% less people in the US are in this youngest age group. And obviously, we could do the same and contrast other age groups. So we can see that whilst here it's really wide and it's really narrow in the United States, as we get into the older age groups, it gets wider for the United States, whereas in the Congo it gets narrower. And then as we get to the top of the pyramid, we can see the US has got lots of people living in the very old age groups, especially old females over the age of 80. Whereas when we look at the Congo, we can see almost no people living in those old age groups, or very low percentages. So that will help you complete the second last task. The final task is explaining the differences. And that asks you, why does the Democratic Republic of the Congo have such high birth rates compared to the US? So you have to think about stuff you've learned in class that helps us understand either why people have so many children in the Congo, and there's lots of different reasons for that we've talked about, or why do people in the United States have relatively few children compared to other countries? Now, if you're not sure or you've forgotten, you can do a little bit of research on the internet about why are birth rates high in developing countries, like in the Congo, and why are birth rates very low in developed countries, like the United States. The final question basically says, why are people living to be such an old age in the US? Why are life expectancies so high? Once again, you've done that in class. Why are people in the Congo less likely to live into the old age groups? Well, it's a poor country, and there's a number of reasons why people don't live into the old age groups. In contrast, why are people much more likely to live into the very old age groups in the United States? And you're being asked to explain that. So when you give a reason, so for example, if you say healthcare, that's not enough. That's just describing. If you said healthcare is better in the US, what I want you to do is tell me, why does better healthcare, for example, mean that people in the United States will live a lot longer than in the Congo? Okay, so that's our lesson on population graphs for this week, and it will take you into the end of next week. If you can submit this by Thursday, the 30th of April, that would be really appreciated. I hope you had a nice holiday, and good luck.